this video, we are forecasting Winter Storm Kassandra as well as the big severe weather threat in the south tomorrow. All the details on what to expect with snow totals and that tornado threat in the south are coming right up. Alright, welcome back into another more weather forecast video. We are back in the weather room again for special storm coverage of the newly named Winter Storm Kassandra. Let's look at what we got going on with our latest watches, warnings, advisories, and all that stuff throughout the southern plains into, say, up through Missouri into the Ohio Valley. We do have winter weather advisories and winter storm warnings there in the pinks, as well as winter storm watches there in the blue. Now, these winter storm watches will likely get upgraded to winter storm warnings eventually, and these watches, warnings, and advisories will push northward and eastward as we go into, the coming hours and into tomorrow and the next day. We also do have wind advisories and warnings down here into Louisiana, Mississippi, Texas, and Alabama, as well as the panhandle of Florida here, as we are expecting high winds and a severe weather threat tomorrow down there. So that's what that's what we got going on right now with warnings, watches, and advisories. Against those winter storm warnings are in the pink, those watches are in the bluish color, and then those advisories here are in the purple color. Where we're expecting the biggest impacts, though, will be in those winter storm warnings. So let's start timing out Winter Storm Kassandra, as we do have the latest details and we do have a pretty concrete forecast on what to expect. So looking here at the NAM model, this is a better resolution model than, say, the European or GFS, so we get a little bit more realistic view of what's going to happen. So as we go into, around the time I'm filming this video and into later tonight, we do see the storm start to form down in Mexico, bringing snow to New Mexico, as well as bringing that snow into Texas. By the time we go into around 12 p.m. tomorrow there on Tuesday, we'll see that snow starting into places like Oklahoma City, into the Texas Panhandle, and into places in western Oklahoma. As we keep going throughout the day on Tuesday, that snow will spread into northwestern Arkansas, extreme northwestern Arkansas. We could see some really heavy snow, as well as into places in northeastern Oklahoma. We'll see snow into Tulsa, Oklahoma City, into Moore, Norman, Oklahoma, a lot of places in Oklahoma, especially central and northern Oklahoma, by the time we go into 6 p.m. there on Tuesday here. And then by the time we go into late on Tuesday, we'll start seeing that rain, wintry precip come in here by the time we go into around 9 p.m. here in St. Louis. Then we'll see that switch over to snow in a place like southern Illinois into St. Louis, and also we could see a brief period of snow into northern Kentucky and northern Tennessee as we go into late Tuesday night. So we're looking at around 12 a.m. So we're going into Wednesday here, late Tuesday night into Wednesday. We will be seeing heavy snow into Missouri, Kansas City, down towards Springfield as well, and Cape Girardeau. But we will see a warm nose of air preventing any big snow, especially into Kentucky, and this warm nose of air will continue to move northward as the system goes off to the northeast. So that will prevent some of our snow totals, say in southern Kentucky, southern Illinois, and southern Ohio here. So by the time we go into around 6 a.m. here on Wednesday, we're still seeing moderate snow into St. Louis. We're starting to see that snow come into northern parts of Illinois. The Quad Cities, only expecting around 1 inch there. Into northern Indiana, central Indiana, Indianapolis. By the time we go into early on Wednesday, your guys are dealing with snow, as well as into northern Ohio. But again, that bubble of warm air is going to move northward. So a place like Cincinnati or towards Columbus aren't going to get as much snow as they would if that warm bubble of air isn't there. Really, you want to be on this side of the storm to get the biggest totals, the northwestern side, because there on the southeastern side, we're going to have that warm bubble and we're going to have rain. So as we keep going into Wednesday, by the time we get into 12 p.m., we'll see that snow starting to scoot out of, say, Missouri, St. Louis as well here. We'll still see snow into Chicago, starting to see heavy snow into Detroit, as well as still seeing snow into northern Indiana, northern Ohio. Then we really start to see that snow pick up into the interior northeast and, say, Pennsylvania and New York. But with a lot of storms in Pennsylvania, we do see that warm bubble of air, so we might start out with some snow in, say, northern Pennsylvania, but then that'll be wiped out with some dryness or some drizzle and say some sleet or freezing rain here. Looking at 6 p.m. here on Wednesday, we're still seeing some light to moderate snow, heavy at times into Michigan, still seeing snow in northern Indiana. We could see a lot there into northern Indiana, especially northwestern Ohio as well. But we're really starting to see that really heavy snow start to break out into places like Boston, Massachusetts, up towards New Hampshire, Vermont, the upstate, very northern New York, and into Maine. So we're looking at around 9 p.m. here at this point on Wednesday, and you can see our low pressure is starting to scoot off out of the United States into Canada. Still see some wraparound snow in Ohio along those lakes, and we are going to see some northwest flow behind the system, and that's going to bring some snow in behind it as well. I'll show you guys that in a minute. So by the time we go into early on Thursday, we're still going to be seeing that really heavy snow into New Hampshire, Vermont, and Maine, but that warm bubble still is going to go very far north. That's going to prevent any snow here on the coast, and it's going to prevent those higher totals into, say, northern New York, into the interior New England. This is not a very good snowstorm for the Northeast. We are going to see some big totals, but overall, not a good track for big snow there in the Northeast, not even really the interior Northeast, but we still are going to see some big totals. Then by the time we go into around 6 a.m. here on Thursday, we do see this storm start to scoot off, and by the time we go into, say, noon into 3 p.m., this storm is all the way out of here, and it is going to leave down some cold air. I'm not going to go into much details, but as we go into the start of February, we could have an Arctic blast coming in, so this storm is not going to be the end of winter here. As we go into early February, an Arctic blast, it has been hinted by the Climate Prediction Center, will likely come into the United States, and we're going to see some really cold air. So let's see what we're talking about with snow totals. This is the official National Weather Service forecast. So you know how I said in Sunday's updates or in Friday's updates, stay tuned, the forecast is going to change. Right now, we do have a pretty concrete forecast. Little tiny changes are still possible, but this is a good forecast, so this is probably what's going to play out. But don't take this, extremely to heart, because as always, snow forecasts can be a little off. You can get more or you can get less in a lot of cases, but this is probably around what you're going to see. So into the northern Texas panhandle, we're expecting 3 to 5, maybe 5 to 8 inches in some places through Amarillo down through Lubbock. Towards Dallas, probably a dusting to an inch because of that warm air advection. We're not going to see much snow into Dallas. Into, say, central Oklahoma towards Norman, Oklahoma City, and all the way towards Elk City into eastern or western Oklahoma here. We're talking 5 to 8 inches, and I think in some parts here in Oklahoma, since the National Weather Service forecast here is a little bit conservative but more realistic, we could see maybe 5 to 8 inches, some pockets there in Oklahoma. Up towards Tulsa, we're talking about 1 to 3, maybe 3 to 5 inches if we get good banding there. And into southeastern Oklahoma, that's where we have less totals. But as you go into northwestern Arkansas here, you can see right here into northwestern Arkansas might be our bullseye from this whole storm, which is kind of crazy. You would expect, why isn't that in like Maine or Ohio or in Michigan? But our bullseye for this storm mightn't be in northwestern Arkansas, as we are expecting pretty big totals up there into northwestern Arkansas and into southern Missouri, especially in the Ozark region. So the Ozark Mountains here from Missouri into extreme northwestern Arkansas here, we could be getting in on 5 to 8, I think even 8 to 12 inches in some isolated spots, especially the higher you go in the elevations there in the Ozarks. I think the Ozarks are going to be a hot spot. So we're talking about probably 4 to 5 inches into Springfield. The more east you go, we're going to get into those bigger pockets. And then the farther east you go, say Poplar Bluff, Cape Girardeau, we're only talking about 1 to 3 and a dusting probably to an inch there in Cape Girardeau. So let's see for the central United States into the Ohio Valley. This is what we're expecting. Again, we're expecting that bullseye down into the Ozarks towards St. Louis. A pretty tricky forecast, but I'm thinking, since I live there and I look at the forecast for St. Louis a lot, I'm thinking around 3 to 4 inches. I think the forecast is 3 to 6 according to the National Weather Service. So anywhere from 3 to 6 inches really in St. Louis, but the farther south you go from St. Louis, that's where we'll get on our bigger totals here, maybe even 4 to 7 down south in the, say, Farmington, Missouri. As you go into central Illinois, we're talking about 5 to 8 inches. Again, 3 to 6, 5 to 8, or 3 to 5, I meant 5 to 8 inches in some isolated parts here in central Illinois, as well as into northern Indiana. Into Detroit, we're talking about 3 to 4 inches. In this area, we're really talking about 3 to 5, but I think we could get 5 to 8 in some areas. Indianapolis, we're talking about around the same forecast as St. Louis. We're talking about probably 4 inches there, 4 to 5 inches there in Indianapolis. I'm thinking 3 to 4, maybe up to 5 into the St. Louis area. Now let's switch on over to our northeastern forecast here from the National Weather Service, and you can see right through here is where we're expecting our biggest totals. Didn't mean to put this part of New York in, but really into extreme northern New York, parts of Vermont, especially in the higher elevations, parts of New Hampshire, most of New Hampshire, and into almost all of Maine is where we're expecting probably 5 to 8, 3 to 5 in the valleys, but 5 to 8 into probably 8 to 12 in some areas. That's where we're expecting our biggest amounts. That's not incredible, especially for the interior northeast, but still expecting some good snow there into the interior northeast, interior New England. But because of that warm bubble, we're not going to see much snow at all into, say, New York, Hartford, Providence, maybe up to an inch or two into Hartford and Providence. I'd say 2 to 3 inches is possible into say Boston here, but northern Pennsylvania into around Scranton, north of Pittsburgh, we're talking about 3 to 5 inches. These parts of New York here into the southern part down towards New York City, we're talking about 3 to 5 pockets of 1 to 3 in some pockets, especially in the Catskill Mountains or Poconos Mountains here. We could see around 5 to 8 inches, and then into Massachusetts, northern Vermont, or northern Connecticut and northern Rhode Island, we could see 3 to 5 inches. So that's what we're expecting with snow, with Winter Storm Kassandra. Again, not a huge snowstorm, but it is going to provide big snow for some places, and I think the impacts are going to be pretty bad. So especially if you have any travel plans in the swath of snow, definitely consider adjusting those travel plans. But again, like I've been hinting at in a lot of these videos, snow is not at all going to be the only problem here. Severe weather, especially down here into the Gulf states, is also going to be a big problem. Say through Houston, towards New Orleans, down towards Mobile, Biloxi, and Pensacola, Florida here. That's where we have a slight risk. We have an enhanced risk actually towards just south of Houston, towards just north of Corpus Christi, and an even bigger enhanced risk over here towards New Orleans, Mobile, Pensacola, Biloxi, and Gulf Shores. With this as well, we do have a 10% hatch risk, which is a big risk for tornadoes in those enhanced risk areas, so we need to especially watch for tornadoes. Damaging winds are going to be a big threat as well here. So let's time out these storms here with the HRRR model, looking at them starting around say noon on Thursday. We are going to see this line of storms start to develop, but as we go into around say 2 to 3 p.m. here, we're going to see, again, line of storms, mainly south of this line is where we're going to see our strongest storms. But also, right in front of this line, we're going to see some small cells that could have rotation on them going into Houston. So if you're in Houston, Reed Timmer actually was hinting at this, talking about this. We could see a pretty big severe weather threat, tornado threat as well, because some of these storms, especially the ones right here in front of the line, could have some rotation on them. The line also could have embedded supercells, but the supercells, especially in front of the line, we are going to have to watch here in Houston into south eastern Texas here for that tornado threat, also damaging wind threat with that line of storms as well. By the time we go into around 6 p.m., we're seeing those storms start to move out of Houston and into Louisiana, knocking on the doorstep of Baton Rouge. During this time frame, I mean, we could see a big tornado threat. Again, just look at these storms right in front of the line, as well as embedded supercells in this line. So again, I'm really worried about the rotation in these storms, and that's going to be a big factor here with this severe weather. We are going to have to continue to watch this, and as we keep going into around 9 p.m. here, we're going to see those storms move into New Orleans and still seeing that tornado threat. We are going to see mainly a damaging wind threat, but that tornado threat, especially those storms embedded in this line here, are going to have rotation, and I think it's a pretty big tornado threat. So let's look at the southeastern United States to get a better picture of the Panhandle of Florida into Alabama. So we're looking here at early on Wednesday here, and you can see we do have this line of storms continuing to move through Alabama, the panhandle of Florida here, and we are going to have significant rotation on some of these storms. I think this is when the tornado threat could be pretty big as these storms go into Alabama and the panhandle of Florida. We are going to have a big embedded tornado risk here, and some of these tornadoes could be strong. So by the time we go into around 9 a.m. here, you can see this line of storms does move into Georgia and into Florida, and we probably will see another risk area for Wednesday morning into probably these parts into Georgia, Alabama, and Florida as well here. So as you can see, big severe weather threat for the Gulf State region. Tornadoes are definitely a big problem. Make sure you stay weather aware if you are in those highlighted areas. Make sure you have a way to get warnings, because there's a big severe weather threat tomorrow down through, say, New Orleans, Mobile, Houston, Biloxi, Pensacola, and everywhere around there. Those are the big cities that are including that. So that wraps up this more weather forecast video. Again, severe weather will be a big problem tomorrow, but also Winter Storm Kassandra expecting to bring a lot of snow from the southern plains to the northeast. All right, as always, make sure you subscribe and go follow me on Twitter. Stay prepared out there, and I will see you soon with more weather.